What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so it was yesterday morning when the news broke that the FBI is investigating the NBA for having ties to an illegal gambling operation, which has connections to the criminal underworld. This looks to be perhaps the biggest scandal in NBA history, but yet I don't think a lot of us are that shocked, considering that we have been suspecting for years that there's a lot of shenanigans going on within the NBA, especially under the Adam Silver regime. And I guess my opinion on this has shifted since yesterday morning, when I thought this was significant, but I didn't realize, because I had just heard about it when I talked about it. I didn't really hear much more detail. I didn't see any of the articles talking about it. I didn't hear other people's opinions talking about this. I thought this might have been limited to the individuals involved, but this seems like this is much more, this is going to be deeper and bigger than what's only been put out there now. I get the impression that the FBI thinks that this is deeper than what they're putting out there, and they got to make sure that they cross all their T's and dot their I's before they go forward with other formal charges. That's just what I think. But I think this is going to rock the sports world for years to come, right? So I believe there are 4 teams that are involved in this illegal gambling scandal. I think Portland's one of them. I know the Lakers are one of the teams, and I can't remember the other 2 teams. I'm assuming it might be the Hornets or the Heat, considering Terry Rozier is involved. But yeah, like the things I'm hearing, players giving insider information to gamblers or bettors as far as what player is going to be hurt, what player is going to play, who's not going to play. Then, of course, you had these poker games where they're using x-ray machines to see what a person's hand is, and then they're resorting even to violence and intimidation for payoffs. And man, this is terrible. But when it became legal to bet on sports, I'm not totally shocked that this underside, this ugly underside, has come with it. I'm just not shocked by that, because you're inviting the opportunity for many players to legally, how can I say this? You're inviting the opportunity for many people, including players, to legally indulge in a vice, which is gambling, and you're allowing an opportunity for many people in the underworld to take advantage of certain things. You know what I'm saying? I just don't get why these players are involved in this. Like you guys make millions of dollars now. Even role players, you guys make millions of dollars. Why involve yourself in a situation where you can potentially put yourself in prison for just an extra 500,000 or a million. I mean, I don't get it at all. It makes no sense. But that's greed. That's greed for you, man. And I'm going to say the obvious here. I can't sit up here and say who's guilty and who's not guilty and who's tied to this and who's not tied to this. But I do find it interesting that Chauncey Billups walked out of what the federal building with a clutch shirt on, a clutch hoodie. I don't know exactly what he was signaling there. That's up for your interpretation. Chauncey's agent is tied to Clutch. Terry Rozier is a client of Clutch. Damon Jones is a friend of LeBron James. I can't sit there and say who's guilty and what's not guilty, but there's some intriguing things there. I'll put it to you like that. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Not accusing anybody of anything, but it's intriguing. That's all I'll say. One of the things that is crucial for the success of sports is to at least have the belief that, look, there's going to be some isolated pockets of underhandedness and deviousness, but it's very important for the public to believe that the product that they're looking at when it comes to sports has some sort of integrity. Okay? There's fairness going on. There's fair competition. We've had incidences like this before. Of course, with Major League Baseball, the 1919 so-called Black Sox scandal, where I think it was 8 members of the Chicago White Sox were accused of throwing that World Series in exchange for money from gamblers. In particular, Arnold Rothstein, who had ties to the criminal underworld. And although I think they were all acquitted via jury, the Major League Baseball, they felt that they needed somebody who was sort of a judge slash overseer to watch over the game and to look, someone to be appointed in a position where more or less they were like a overseer slash president of the league, right? To look out for these types of things. And that's how they appointed the first commissioner of baseball, Kennesaw Mountain Landis. And I think all of those players who were tied were banished from baseball. Some of them retroactively have been innocent, like Shoeless Joe Jackson, who I think was just reinstated for Major League Baseball, as far as him being eligible for the Hall of Fame. So that thing really, really sullied baseball for quite some time, man. And it took Babe Ruth and his exploits to kind of move away from that scandal. Then, of course, you had Pete Rose and him betting on his team, right? Now, he always maintained he betted on his team to win, but there's always the suspicion that was that always the case? He denied it for many years. Eventually, he admitted that he did bet on his team. He did bet on baseball. He was banished for life. They weren't joking about it. Pete Rose died, I think it was last year, at age 83, I think it was. So they banished him. So then, of course, in basketball, we've had point shaving scandals in college and in semi-pro leagues, right? So we've had this before, and every time there were banishments, there were fines, and the public was outraged. This, depending upon how big it gets, this could, I think, be up there with the 1919 Black Sox scandal. And, look, I don't know all the details. I'm not going to jump to conclusions. But I know how you can get a feel for something. And I'm going to just say this feels a, a little dicey. This feels dicey. I think this is, and Tiki TV brought up a good point. The NBA cleared Terry Rozier of any wrongdoing. Remember, he was brought up before the NBA did their own so-called investigation, and he was cleared. Only for the FBI to charge him, and with the penalty being up to 40 years in federal prison. Now, only two things I can conclude if I'm looking at the NBA. Either they're incompetent when they did their investigation, or perhaps there's a cover-up. Meaning that Terry Rozier knows something or is connected to something they don't want put out there. So you tell me what that is. Adam Silver has been a disaster as a commissioner. We've been saying that for a long time. It's interesting that so much of the stuff that we've been saying on here for years is now being, by events, we're being vindicated. The things we've been saying for so long about these players, about the league, the integrity of the league, the condition of the league, it's all being confirmed and vindicated. But anyway, I don't want to speak much more on this because, we still don't know everything. But it does look bad. It looks really bad. Tell me what you guys think.